about 2.5 seconds later.
Oh, wow.
But so I've just got it turned down far enough that it doesn't drive me absolutely berserk. But it helps because I hear if we suddenly start getting static or if it stops broadcasting.
Right.
Now, as soon as that stops, then we know we're broadcasting. There we are. We may have been broadcasting for the last 20 seconds. If so, hello, friends. Thank you for joining me today. As you can see by the title there, I'm going to demonstrate to you how to stretch a large canvas. I'm not sure that I've ever done this, so this might be something new. If not, it's something that bears repeating. I have my friend Harold here. Hi, Harold. And I'm going to stretch a canvas is about 7 by 4 feet, so it's pretty good size canvas. And I'm out here in my driveway, as are my grandchildren, and at the moment my wife, so they'll behave well as long as she's out here, and they might behave well even if she's not out here, but it's less sure. Okay, the first thing I want to show you is what I've had to do. Hello, Bo. I got a chat from Infix. Good to have you, man, or woman, whichever it is. I have 4 sawhorses out here. But unfortunately, these sawhorses aren't as tall as these. So I just wanted to show you sort of the mess that I've had to make going into my garage and getting scrap wood just to raise up this level to the same level as this. Now, Harold, yeah, why don't you grab that end down here, and we're going to put this over here. But hang on, before we do anything, I have made every mistake in the book, at least twice, every mistake. And here's one. Anytime that this is nice, is it called cotton duck? I don't know, but it's cotton canvas anyway, without getting fancy. And it's got sizing on it. In other words, one side of this canvas is yes, the other side is no, unless you really, really, really want a lot of tooth. Now, I don't want that much tooth because I've done it before. It doesn't work. So one side is smoother, and believe it or not, it's hard to tell which is which. Which do you think it is? I have an opinion. Let's see if we agree.
I think it's this side.
Okay, we came up with the same side. I think, and it's partly by the pitch.
Yeah, you get more of a noise from scrapping.
Yeah. So this is the good side. That means we turn it over. Thankfully, it's a beautiful day here in central North Carolina in early January. Oh, it's at least 60, 65 now, 64, 3, something like that right now.
And sunny.
Gorgeous day, and sunny, and not too windy. So hopefully, this, and it's not raining, right? So I don't suppose I have to point this out, but all of this would be quite difficult if it were cold, snowing, raining, or windy, especially windy. So we really lucked out today that it's not doing any of those things. So here's the already, you could see why I wanted to reuse this. Okay, let me back up a little bit. This was a painting. This was a painting that until this morning was on this stretcher. Now it's in the trash. It's a painting I did about 10 or 12 years ago. And I finally just decided it was actually part of a diptych, so the other half is bigger. And several things. I'll try to make this quick. Number one, I find myself in the mood to do large paintings. Large paintings, and this is what I mean by large. Some people call large, 3 by 4 feet or something. No, it's 4 by 7 or 8 by 10 feet. It's my favorite. Being in the mood to paint large, it gave me the freedom to go out to the shed and say, sayonara, 10, 12-year-old painting. Now, again, just a little bit of an aside. So 4 days ago, my first impulse was not to take the canvas off. My first impulse was to strip the old canvas. And if you want to watch a video of me teaching how to strip an oil painting, have you ever done that?
No.
Probably not.
Can't say.
Yeah. So all you acrylics people, no problem. All you do is paint over it. Just gesso over acrylics and you're fine. Oil's a whole different problem. So I have a system. It involves brush cleaner restorer and denatured alcohol and sandpaper and a lot of rubbing to take off an old painting and then re-gesso it. Okay? But don't take my word for it right now. Go look at Dan Nelson. I mean, do a search in YouTube. Dan Nelson, re-stripping. There's a word, stripping and oil canvas. You can find that. Now, again, when I did that about a year ago, my good friend Rick, I think it was, forgive me if it's not Rick, but I think it was, Rick said, Dan, don't you know, you can use oven cleaner and it works way better. That sounded like a brilliant idea, and it still sounds like a brilliant idea to me, but it didn't work. I bought Easy Off, heavy duty oven cleaner, sprayed it over this whole thing. It didn't seem to be doing anything, so I let it stay for 4 days. Didn't touch it. Well, if I was a physics professor, I would say it considerably diminished the integrity of, but speaking not like a physics professor, didn't touch it. So Rick, what did I do wrong, man? Sounds like a great idea, didn't work. So at the moment, I'm back to my, but then I had oven cleaner, and I didn't trust a canvas with tons of oven cleaner on it. So that's why that painting is now in my trash over there, okay? All right. Oh, you know what? I have a tool I didn't get, Harold. I didn't get scissors. And my scissors are always supposed to, oh, there they are.
When you start sweating.
Yeah, exactly. I was complaining to Harold a little while ago. I consider myself, maybe wrongly, you can correct me, I consider myself a neat person. But okay, tell you what, Harold, let's pull, I'm going to lift up the wood and you pull the canvas toward you about a foot. I'm not sure it will pull very well, but we'll work on it. The way it is right now, we've got way too much canvas. Oh, by the way, let me answer another question. Why do I have such nice big pieces of scrap? Yeah, let's do it this way. Nice big canvas laying around. That bears an explanation. The reason is because this is actually, believe it or not, the leftover piece from an earlier project. There, I think. So what we want, and are you guys seeing it? Of course, as you can tell by my hands, we're out here in the sun, and so I can't always see what you're seeing, but I think we're okay. Harold, we want about that much. That's kind of generous. You know, it doesn't need. We can get away with 1/2 inch, but we'd rather not have to. So about that much, which happens to be just the width of this 1x2, which is 1.5 inches. Yeah, that's about right. And then over here on this side, if we pull it, well, it looks like it's about right. Then, tell you what, I'll do the cutting, okay, so that if I screw up, I can't blame you. Right. And Harold, I love the clothes. This man knows how to dress for an art project. Yep. So I think it's about there. Now I'm gonna, as you know, no, maybe you don't know. I'm gonna do what I think is a little bit generous. I think I'm leaving a little more than we really need, right? Why would I do that?
Because you can always cut more off.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, Harold is a full-time carpenter. Is that what I call you? Yeah. Full-time carpenter. Yeah, I build cabinets. He builds cabinets. So in fact, we were talking before we started broadcasting. And sorry, you missed some of that cutting. I know, sorry about that. Harold and I were talking that.
It was a nail gun that we had seen.
I don't know how anybody can be an artist if they're not a bit of a carpenter, inventor. Some of you answer that question. I suppose some artists, if you just always do everything by the book, you just use an easel the way it comes out of the box, and if you just buy store-bought canvases. Whoops, we seem to be having broadcasting problems here. Can you guys hear me? I think you can. Okay. Yeah, now let's check. I think the length. A little bit short down here. I've got about ½ an inch. Let me come this way a little bit. That's about right. Anyway, I don't know how you can be an artist without being a little bit of a builder, but maybe you can. You just can't do many crazy things. Okay, I accomplished. I accomplished my overcutting, didn't I? Now, believe it or not, we can work with that, but it would make the job a little bit more irritating. So I'm going to go ahead and cut again. Do you approve of that concept, Mr. Cabinet Builder, Harold? Yeah, so Harold, being a builder, intuited what I try to do. Why do we do that? Because we didn't do it once or twice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, seriously.
And then you just kick yourself like, shaka raka raka.
Yeah,
right?
it's like whenever I install an island,
Yeah.
I never cut the legs before I go to the house.
Yes.
My measure tends to be the right length, but when you get to the house and it's not level, so
Yeah. Oh,
it's too
man.
short.
Yes.
Now I've got to remake these legs.
Yes.
So never, you always overmake.
Yes, yes. All right. Now, here's where, and let me check and get you guys zeroed in just on the canvas. And while I'm over here, let me look at some comments of you guys. Thank you. Einfix. What a great name. Nicholas Bravo. Good to see you again, my friend. And Dr. Kevin Kaz. I think you might. Hey, David Mercer. Yeah, how tight do I want it? And David says, now, David, you bring up a very good point. Now, I might be wrong about this. So, and Harold, I want you to think with me. Okay. Let's see. David suggests that I wet the canvas first. When canvas is wet, it shrinks. And then when it dries, it gets big again. Leather, not so. Leather, wet, big, shrink, small. So a leather drum, you put it on wet and then it tightens. But if we do it wet, and we're going to do it when it's tight, and then when it dries, it's going to get big. So David, and the reason I'm already processing this is I gave this. In fact, I carried this piece of canvas down to my hose at the driveway because I was thinking, yeah, make it wet and it'll be tight. And then I went, wait a minute. We don't want it to go from tight to loose, right? We want it to go from dry, loose to tight. So David, I think that's the way to do it. So obviously the big challenge here is how do you get a canvas this size tight? And the answer is, doggone if I know. No, the answer is it's not very easy. That's the real answer. It's not very easy, but I am going to give you the benefit of my, hand me that plier right there. Oh, if you would, on my workbench in there, there's two, grab one of each of these. I have extras. One of the rules of thumb that I try to do as a full-time artist is have tool redundancy. Right? And Harold, the builder, agrees with me. Why? Because one will break. And if you're middle of a work project, oh my goodness. Or sometimes you might have a helper, like I do today. Anyway, first of all, here's a pair of canvas stretchers. Yep, those are the most. Here's a pair of better canvas stretchers, but we're not done yet. And again, I don't know how you would do this if you're not a bit of a builder inventor, but here's upgraded canvas stretchers. See the difference? Okay, so here's the difference. These are store-bought. These are modified by me. I drilled a hole, and this is, what do you call this? It's craft metal. These are not like hardened stainless steel tools. They're cheap metal. So believe me, it was really easy to drill holes in this stuff. And then I screwed in 3 little bolts with a washer. So what that does, this ridge right here is a fulcrum, right? Like the middle of a teeter-totter. That's the middle of the teeter-totter. What I've done here is I've added over 1/8 of an inch to my fulcrum. And who was it who said, give me a lever big enough and I'll move the world? Some Greek, Pythagoras or somebody like that. One of those Greek guys. So the idea being bigger fulcrum, better pull. So again, if you ever want to stretch big canvases, there you go. Do that. Again, if you're a builder, it's real easy. Okay, whew. Now, I hope I'm not just going to talk you guys to death today, but there's a lot of information. If you want, everything I'm saying here applies, of course, to stretching a small canvas. Just small canvases are easy. Big canvases are hard. The question is, do you start in the corner or do you start in the middle? And the answer is, you start in the middle. Unless you are Bruno Charvant. Bruno Charvant, if you ever listen to this, it's you I'm talking about. He's in France. He's a professional canvas stretcher. And he uses the old-fashioned hammer and nail. And he's a genius, and he's brilliant. And he has his own system. And I can't figure it out. So if anybody ever will get in touch with Bruno and speak English, because he speaks French, a tiny bit of English. I can't figure out how he does it. So there is some system out there that works very well where it's like you start here, then you go here, then you go here, here. It's really weird. It seems really complicated. I'm sure it's not, but it's okay. But for the rest of us, what I learned in college, so I did learn something in college. You start in the middle. But when you're stretching a canvas this big, you can't start in the middle. You just told us to start in the middle. I know. Traditional canvas stretching is you start in the middle of each span. Boom, 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 boom. And then work your ways gradually toward the corner, stretching with every inch that you go up. But when you're stretching a canvas this big, it doesn't work. Doggone it. So here's what you have to do. You begin by putting in some temporary, there's the key word, temporary staples. So these staples I'm going to take out in a while. And I don't know if you can see me or not, but I'm actually holding my staple gun at an angle so that the staple won't go all the way in. Why? I mean, I can still get it out if it goes all the way in. But if I put it like this, you see, and it's still sticking out, it doesn't need to stick out that much. Those are real easy to get out. So what we're going to do, Harold, is go around and just pulling by hand. In other words, just give it a little tug, and probably 2 staples will do it, and come in from each corner. So like you do there and there. And yep, just give it a little pull to start taking the slack out of it. So in a way, what we're doing here is, and then just anywhere else, just periodically, Harold. We're not pulling it really tight. We'll do that later with the stretcher pliers. Okay, so all the staples we're putting in right now are temporary. So we're holding our staple gun at an angle so that it doesn't go all the way in. Just makes it easy to get out. Oh, and by the way, we have to get all these things off there because we don't want anything weighing that down. We can put them here. That staple came flying. Okay, now let me get the good stretcher pliers. And actually, this pull right here. Now, are we ready to go? Harold, are we ready to go?
Ready if you are.
The answer is not quite. It's very likely that I'm going to drive these staples all the way in. And by the way, I don't pull real hard because there's nothing over there. So I'm just giving a little tiny bit of a tug, holding it with my thumb. And I'm going to put 2 staples in. Why don't I put 1 staple in? Because I don't trust 1 staple to hold. Okay, it's not enough. Now, just a word about staplers. And again, before you guys got here, before we started broadcasting today, we did, Harold and I drove them through all kinds of craziness. Let's talk about staplers just for a minute. Some of you guys, if you're like me, you think, well, if a little staple is good, then a big, mondo, macho, heavy-duty staple, you can shoot Martians with this thing, or whoever else is invading your house. No, guess what? Not heavy-duty. Ixnay on the heavy-duty. Nope. Light gauge, wimpy, womanly. Sorry, that's kind of sexist, isn't it? I'll get in trouble for that. Okay. My wife would like this one. My wife would not like this one. Yeah, I'm still in trouble, aren't I? Yeah. All right, Harold. Okay. Strike that from the record. I did not say anything like that. Light gauge will do the job. We are going to do, now I have help here today, Harold's here. We're going to do roughly 1,000 staples. And you do not want to do this bad boy 1,000 times. It just is not worth it, and it's not necessary, because the way the canvas is torquing on these, pulling on these staples, you don't need heavy duty. Light duty is good enough. Okay, so I've got 2 staples here. I'm going to come around to the other side. And here's what I want you to know. Those 2 staples I put in there that might be permanent also might not. It might turn out that as we stretch, it'll get tighter as it goes, and then we'll find out that those original staples are loose. So you pull those out too. Does that make sense? So if you can't watch any more of this video, then I'm just going to summarize for you. How to stretch large canvas. Number 1, good pliers, preferably modified by increased fulcrum, temporary staples all around, and even the first permanent staples that you put in might not end up being permanent. They might be temporary as well. Okay, so if you can't watch anymore, that's the basic lesson. Now, starting right now, yes, I'm going to start torquing. And as you can see, I'm gripping and pulling, gripping and pulling, gripping and pulling. We've got a problem here. We have a piece of lumber coming up. There we go. Does it reach that crossbar? It does. Okay. So this is what we are going to do a lot of. And you know what, Harold, we're going to take a break here in a minute. You know what I might do? We might take a minute and modify. These? Yeah, the only reason I haven't done it is just never gotten around to it, that's all. Okay, so let me show you that action again, just in case you missed it. And we actually have a little bit more canvas here than we need, but it's okay, we can work with it. Yeah, we could trim it, but okay. Once you've got it pulled, I've discovered you really can, if you have some strength in your fingers, you really can hold it there. And of course, we haven't done doing the tools yet. You have a hammer, of course, ready to go. So there, and then tight here. Now we go to the opposite sides. And I have here, again, another tool. You guys are going to love me or hate me. A modified screwdriver. Doggone it. Why can't you just use an ordinary screwdriver? Well, you can. But if you're like me, or if you're like Harold, you have some old, cheap, kind of slightly damaged slot screwdrivers around. Now, he maybe throws out all his bad ones, and I'm not a professional carpenter, so I keep my bad ones around. And then at some point, I go, hey, that's perfect. I need that slightly damaged screwdriver. So this is for the rest of us, if you have a slightly. And I just file it down. I didn't even get the grinder out. I just filed it down so it's sharper than a normal screwdriver. So that means it's easier to pull up these staples. Of course, these are already easy, but okay. A couple more tools, bear with me. But the other two have not been modified, I promise. We're just about the end of tool time. Wire cutters are perfect. easier than needle nose, easier than pliers, easier than lineman's tools. Wire cutters are great for pulling the staple the rest of the way out after you get it started with the screwdriver. Got it? And the last tool I'm going to talk about right now is a magnet. This is a speaker magnet or a traditional looking magnet. I don't know where this came from. Why do you have magnets? Because we're going to be pulling staples out. By the time we're done with this job, I would guess there'll be 20 or 30 staples that are duds. Either they didn't go in, we pound it, whatever, or we're going to take them out. And you're going to be going around picking up little staples, like, because you don't want them on the ground. They'll stick in somebody's flip-flop or worse. You don't want them on the driveway. You don't want them in your studio. So all you do is get a magnet, and they don't have to, I mean, this is obviously out of a speaker, and this is, I don't know where this came from. So that collects your staples. Got it? So that's our trash collector kit. Is right there. Does that make sense, Harold? Okay, so now this is my third pull, and again, I'm now pulling the canvas this way, and there's not an awful lot happening at the other end, so I don't have to do it. I don't have to get gorilla on it yet. Whoops, that's my expression for really, really pushing, torquing on something is gorillify it. And then, so everything I'm doing right at the moment is art school traditional. Everything I'm doing right now. Thank you. That is to say, the center of each span, and then you work out from there. So again, now I can torque on this as hard as I want. I can gorilla this one. Now I'm assuming you're noticing that this is a very well built stretcher bar. This is not store-bought. This is custom built with a mid thing here. I'm assuming you notice that. If this wasn't here, we would bow in these two spans with all this torquing that we're about to do. Okay? That's probably a good place for us to stop. I want to modify the other canvas pliers so Harold's are just as good as mine. We'll take a little break here, and we'll be back in a bit to show you how we're going to spread, spread, move out, move out, move out, move out. Then finally we get to the corners, and we'll have to work on the corners, okay? Let me see your comments before I go, though. I see there's lots of good comments here, and as you can see, I'm out here. Oh, I'm glad to hear the sound is good. Thank you, Taylor. Wet canvas dries as it shrinks. Hello, Naveen. Good to see you. A couple of you are saying wet canvas shrinks as it dries. You might be right. A couple people are saying wet canvas shrinks as it dries. What got me confused is if you have a loose painting canvas and you spray the back of it with water, it tightens up. But then as it dries,
that's because it swells, and then as it dries, it contracts.
But in that case, we should do this wet. If it dries when it contracts.
It contracts as it dries.
I have one experience that confirms that and one experience that denies it. If you have a pre-stretched canvas and it's loose, you spray it and it tightens up. And then as it dries, it loosens back up.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's why you have to buy a product like Tighten Up, not water. Water tightens it temporarily. On the other hand, when I do prepare this canvas for my big stretcher, we hang it dry and then spray it, and it tightens up, and it stays tight when it's dry. As you can see, I'm completely confused, but two of you have said the other way around. Okay, we're going to take a break here. And we're going to solve one way or the other. Thank you for your good comments, everybody. Be back in just a little bit. Thanks for watching. I think that one. I'm open to either one. Jason Bennett. Hello from London. Well, hello, Jason. I'm not sure we're broadcasting yet. I know we will be in just a second. If we're not doing so already, let me give it just a second to catch up. Ah, good. We got 3 of you already watching. Let's get going. So, a little bit of catch up. First of all, I decided to go with you. I decided to go with you wet people. And I'm not getting sound here. So let me make sure we got sound happening. Hang on, let me just double check. Hang on. I want to make sure we got sound and disconnect. There we go. Okay, thanks. Now I'm confident that you guys can hear me. If in the first half of this broadcast, there was some debate about whether we should stretch wet or dry. I'm not sure how much to get into it. I have conflicting experiences. One says yes, one says... Let me share you the one that I went with initially. And it is... Because this is pretty good to know. If you're painting on a canvas and the canvas is... Or about to paint on a canvas especially, and the canvas is loose, you may know that you can spray water or brush water on the back of the canvas and it'll tighten up. Yay! So it was dry. Then when it's wet, it's tight. But after it dries, it'll get loose again. So that's what was driving me initially. So that's one set of experiences. I don't know which one is right. And a couple of you said doing it wet was right. So I actually went with you. The other experience is when I do my 8x10 on this kind of canvas, when I do my 8x10 foot equipment, the great big equipment, we stretch it dry and then we spray it with a hose wet and it dries tight. Yeah, we'll all find out together. Anyway, so we're done. We're down to the last 2 corners here, and I want to bring you back in to show you how we finish the process. Again, just to review a little bit. So we start in the middle of each span, the middle of each width, and work evenly. Work out a little bit, out, middle, out, then come back here and work out a little more, out a little more. Does that make sense? So we're working toward the corners and trying to get to the corners at the same time, evenly. So I'll zoom in on this corner right here. Here is one of our original temporary staples. And that was here to just help hold the thing slightly tight and in place while we did all the rest. But it's ready to come out now. And here's our magnet. So we just drop it right there. And that's taken care of. Now for the big stretching, I have these, I showed you earlier, these large canvas pliers that I've modified by adding screws to lengthen the fulcrum. And let me go ahead and zoom in with you here so you can see what I'm doing. And again, working toward the corner. So I've got a couple more spans to go here. Again, you can get it gripped twice. Once you get it good and pulled, I think your thumb can hold it well enough while you staple it. And I mentioned earlier, you do not need heavy-duty staples. And hammer. Mr. Harold is a carpenter, so he sees that coming before I even say anything. Have we hammered all the staples anyway, do you think? No. About 2/3? Yeah. Most of them probably. Just to make sure they're... Yeah, good. I thought so. So again, we go evenly. Build evenly or tighten evenly as you go around. One of the main things I want to show you here, and now when it gets to this point, you can see I'm using my fingers or using, that's what I use these small canvas pliers for. These, and for most of you, you're just stretching a canvas, under 1x2 or 2x3 feet. These most traditional, most typical will do the job for you. But if you want to stretch something big, which is what this broadcast is about, then no, you want some of those big ones, and in my opinion, you want them modified. Now somebody used to sell canvas stretching pliers with a bigger fulcrum. Somebody used to sell these, and this fulcrum came up further, and I loved it, and it broke. And I haven't been able to find a replacement. Okay, now the corner. For those of you whose mothers taught you how to make your bed, same principle. This is called a hospital corner when you're making a bed. This painting is going to be hanging vertically, so it's the side that we want to look good. We don't the top and the bottom aren't as important, but we want this side to look good. So you see, I'm using a screwdriver. Every once in a while, in fact, let me do that here. Every once in a while, I go like, I'm a couple, 2 staples. I could pull those out. That'd be one option. Another option is, how about scissors? I think they might be. I think they're hanging on the pegboard. Yeah, they were here. We put them back. The scissors are where they belong. How about that? Sometimes I just want to show you. You have to be careful with this. And I've had, there is some canvas company, commercial canvas manufacturer that does this regularly. If you take their canvases off, you discover that they actually cut a notch out of the canvas so they don't have so much bulk here. So again, a screwdriver or something thin to push that down, and then I want to bring this fold right here all the way back to parallel. And see, now I don't like that looseness right there, so I'm going to push it again. I'm pushing it that way now. That makes sense? Now that I'm that far, I'm going to pull this tight right here. Staple this. 2 staples there. And then, let's see if, now here, I might even be able to get a grip and pull it tight. That's always nice if you can get one final grip. There. I'm not sure you saw that, but you can see what I did. Okay, Harold, let's grab your hammer. Give that a whack. After I get my fingers out of the way. Now this right here, if it comes too far this way, do you fold it back like this? Do you just do it down? Do you cut it off? I'm asking myself all these questions. How about if we tuck this in like this? Nah, it's gonna get too. Yeah, it's exactly gonna stand off the wall. Oh, tuck it in just a tiny bit. I'm gonna staple this right here, and all the rest of this just to diminish the bulk. And then, how about those scissors again? Are they still here? I am. I'm gonna just cut a corner out right here. There. Okay, now so this is the back of the canvas, and of course, and this is the side that we've seen. That's pretty good. So I don't need to show you the other side, the other corner, but I'll do one more thing before we go, just one more comment. And that has to do with the wire. Now, I did not do this wire. I can tell. I would never. Let me just do this. First of all, usually these are okay. I usually prefer eye hooks screwed into the side. Now the reason this is okay is because you see, it's not against the wall. I do not like. Are you guys able to see this? Let me tell you what. Let me carry you way over there. Forgive the earthquake here for a minute. Let's talk about this. Hang on, I'm going to get you there in just a second. How are we close now? Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's talk about these I've heard them called D hooks, something like that. Screws in there. A lot of artists use these, and I emphatically disapprove, because most of the time, it's okay here, but most of the time an artist will put this on this surface right there, and then this will rub against the wall, and it will make a mess of your wall. At guarantee, this will damage. Even if it never moves, this metal will oxidize and create a stain on your wall. So no, I do not approve of this. Here it's okay, because you see it's offset from the wall by ½ an inch. Okay, now let's talk about how to wind a wire. Like I said, what you saw a few minutes ago was not my doing, but this is my doing. You want a nice tight wind, and that's plenty right there. So I cut off the extra nice and tight, and there, that's approval. Harold's going to get the other end. Now, the main thing I want to show you, that I want to mention to you here when it comes to this hanging wire, and this is very important. If you are ever hanging or stretching a large canvas, this wire must be loose, like you see right here. I'll wait till Harold gets that in, tightened down. Good job. And then I'll explain, I'll demonstrate to you why. Now, I have heard at least one artist, experienced artist, say you never want this wire loose because the painting will sway off the wall. Are you with me? I've heard that. I've heard an artist say, let me get in your field of vision here. If this is the wall, and here's your painting, they'll say if you put a loose wire on it, it'll hang like this. I've heard that, never in my life seen it happen. And if you think about it, the physics, it doesn't make sense. So number one, don't worry about a loose wire making the painting, sway off the wall. If there's something else really funky going on. Because gravity's going to pull it straight down. Gravity will, yeah. Maybe if you got a light attached to it and the weight of the light.
Perhaps.
But most people don't attach a light.
Attach a light to it.
Exactly. Anyway. But when it comes out on a small painting, this can be fairly tight. That's all right. But on a big canvas, if you do this tight, the person or persons or you, when you go to hang up this painting, you are going to be cussing up a storm. Because, listen to me, in order to hang a canvas this size, a physical person body needs to get behind the painting, between the painting and the wall. Believe me, I've done it. And I've hung many of my 8 by 10 foot canvases on the wall. The only way to do it is you have to get behind the painting, and with your arm way up in the air, you get it the wire over the hook. And if this is tight, it can't be done. So this is what gives room for somebody to get behind the canvas. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Now, of course, and when I say behind the canvas, that means there's 1 or 2 other people helping me. You don't do that. Yeah. You don't do that. This one maybe you could do by yourself, maybe. But generally speaking, with a canvas this big, you need help hanging it up. But the looseness of it, but look, we've still got a good 5 inches, from the top of the painting down to where the hook in the wall is. So there's no danger. You don't put it so the hook is out here. Are you with me? Anyway, that's all I've got to say about that. That's plenty of information. Let me see some comments that have been made here in the last few minutes and catch up to you guys. Thanks for commenting. Yeah, and R. Taylor, we're going to find out, aren't we? And David, I think, I hope you're right. And I think you're right. And David, you saw how we did and I got, that's all. I just got 2 hellos, one from Istanbul and one from London. Well, thanks for your company. I appreciate it very much. And that's probably the end. Yeah, you don't need to see how to gesso a canvas, do you? I don't think you do. 2 coats. The first coat is light, and it'll dry quickly, and so that you can really rub the gesso into the grain of the canvas. Then the second coat can be heavier. And if you're like me, I like textured gesso. Not everybody does, but I do. That suits my style of painting. So that's it. We'll call that a day. Thanks guys for watching. If you like this, subscribe. If you don't like it, just keep that to yourself. If you don't like it, blame Harold. He's over here.
Yeah, probably not bad.
Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Tomorrow I hope to start painting this actually. So, well, that'll be another broadcast. Thanks guys. Bye-bye.